Hey guys, it's Chris from Fairly Awesome Podcast with this week's Fairly Awesome WTF movie review.
Oh, what the f***? Is this for real?
This week we're going to do something a little different. Instead of reviewing a movie, or what I've started calling shitting on my brain, I'm going to share my top 10 favorite movies with you. This should give you a better idea of where I'm coming from as far as movie reviews go. Not that the terrible caliber of most of the movies I watch really needs any explanation. Anyway, this go round, I'm going to go through my top 10 dramatic movies. This one's going to be a little longer than normal, so grab a hanky and come along. Number 10, The Truman Show. In one of Jim Carrey's growing lists of serious roles, he plays Truman Burbank. After 30 years of having his entire life secretly filmed and broadcast to the world, Truman begins to notice things don't seem right in his hometown. Set pieces fall out of the sky, he begins to notice blatant product advertising, and people from his past reappear unexpectedly as a different person. Although The Real World and Cops, some of the earliest reality TV shows, have been around for a while, the trend hadn't really taken off yet. That would all soon change with Survivor and Big Brother, followed by what I consider a low point in television history with a glut of reality TV shows that were ultimately a look at the dancing monkey shock parade. The Truman Show took the concept to its logical conclusion, following a person from birth onward, watching every moment of their life. I'm not totally sure if the moral of the film was that even when lied to all our lives, we can overcome and grow into a stronger person, or that we're all voyeuristic sickos that want to see someone else crash and burn like a NASCAR race. Number 9, The Prestige. As the film explains, there are 3 parts to a magic trick. The pledge, or presentation of an ordinary object, the turn, where the object is made extraordinary through something like disappearing, and the prestige, where the object is brought back to the ordinary. After a mistake takes the life of a loved one, a pair of magicians played by Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman spend the rest of their lives attempting to outdo each other with fantastical and dangerous tricks. Ultimately, with the help of Nikola Tesla, played by David Bowie, a touch of mind-bending sci-fi magic sets in motion a series of events that leads to the film's prestige. Amazing performances by both Bale and Jackman, a look behind the curtain of magician secrets, and the wicked twist of Tesla's machine make the viewer question to what lengths they'd go to achieve greatness. Number 8, Falling Down. Everyone has bad days. When William Foster, played by Michael Douglas, reaches the limit of his bullshit tolerance, he sets off on a winding journey to attend his daughter's birthday party. Between interactions with a group of gangbangers, a racist neo-Nazi store owner, and arriving at the end of his journey, Foster goes through the annoying things in life that we all deal with. Fast food, road construction, and more. But where most of us grit our teeth and deal, Foster does what we all wish we could do, including using a bazooka to vent his frustration at a construction crew that is doing nothing more than snarling traffic. Throughout the trip, the film allows us to live vicariously through Foster, while at the same time empathizing with him and his attempt to get home where, sadly, he's no longer welcome. This movie also has one of my favorite movie lines of all time. And now you're going to die wearing that stupid little hat. How does it feel? Number 7, Memento. Playing both forwards and backwards, Memento follows Leonard Shelby, a man who has lost the ability to form long-term memories as a result of a home invasion that took the life of his wife. Now Leonard uses Polaroids, tattoos, and post-it notes to retain the memories that he can't store himself, in his quest to find John G., the man who attacked him and left him in his current state. Leonard's driving force is the story of Sammy Jenkins, who suffered the same debilitating memory problem as Leonard, and also lost his wife. But as the film progresses in both directions, it becomes more and more obvious that everything is not as it seems, and that those around Leonard may be taking advantage of his memory problem for their own ends. But the bigger twist lies with Leonard himself. One of Christopher Nolan's first films, preceding the Dark Knight trilogy and Number 9's The Prestige, Memento is a uniquely formatted look at the lengths a person will go to justify their actions resulting from a traumatic event and the incredibly fallible nature of memory. Number 6, A Clockwork Orange. Based on the novel by Anthony Burgess, which I recommend you read, we follow Alex and his droogs through a dystopian England where roving gangs take pleasure in destruction and ultra-violence. When captured after a particularly violent encounter involving a giant Art Deco penis and balls, Alex is given the choice of commuting his sentence and undergoing the Ludovico technique. The technique involves aversion therapy and a Pavlovian response where Alex is made to feel sick at the sight of violence, but also inadvertently at the sound of classical music. Declared cured, he is released out into the world and finds himself socially crippled by his treatment. Literally, a clockwork orange, skin on the outside and conditioned responses on the inside, Alex is the result of a system that seeks to cure what is ultimately an extreme form of the rebellious behaviors we all go through while growing into adulthood. The trippy classical music soundtrack the myriad of references in modern entertainment, including a Simpsons Halloween special, and the social commentary about curing deviant behaviors at the cost of personal freedom make this film a fun watch. Number 5, Donnie Darko. Probably most well known these days for Gary Jules' rendition of Mad World, Donnie Darko follows Donnie, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, through a tangent universe that we learn will be destroyed in 28 days' time. Throughout the course of the film, with the help of his guide, a 6-foot-tall rabbit named Frank, Donnie descends further and further down the tangent universe's rabbit hole. In the process, he floods the school, which results in a rather amusing definition of the word feces, burns down the house of a respected motivational speaker with a penchant for child porn, and meets an old lady nicknamed Grandma Death, who wrote a book called The Philosophy of Time Travel that eerily details out the things Donnie is experiencing. The neat take on time travel, the interactions between all the characters as they go about their daily lives, unaware of what's coming, as well as fantastic soundtrack of both 80s music and instrumentals, make this movie one of my favorites. Number 4, What Dreams May Come. Quite possibly the saddest movie I've ever watched. What Dreams May Come is another, albeit heavily modified in the line of films, based on the stories of Richard Matheson, joining Omega Man, I Am Legend, The Incredible Shrinking Man, and a myriad of Twilight Zone episodes, including the quintessential Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. In What Dreams May Come, Chris Nielsen, played by Robin Williams, suffers the loss of his children and the mental breakdown of his wife, Annie. On the anniversary of the day they decided to not get divorced, Chris is killed in a car wreck. Unaware of his own death, Chris tries to reach out to his wife and those around her, only to ultimately accept his fate and move on. In his own heaven, he finds that he controls the world around him, but Chris longs for his wife, who fails to cope with her losses and commits suicide. Instead of joining him, her actions condemn her to her own personal hell. Chris undertakes a journey to this hell in an attempt to save Annie. For those who ever contemplated how people would feel if they were dead, this film gives a brief glimpse before jumping into an afterlife that revolves more around personal expression and punishment than a reward punishment by greater power. It's visually stunning and runs the gamut of emotions. Spoiler alert, you're going to need a hanky. Number 3, Stand By Me. Based on the Stephen King story The Body, Stand By Me follows a quartet of boys played by Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Jerry O'Connell, and Corey Feldman as they embark on a journey to see a dead body. Over Labor Day weekend in 1959, Gordy, Chris, Vern, and Teddy set out on a long hike across the backwoods of Maine. Following a set of train tracks, they're almost run down by a train when Teddy decides to play chicken. Later, while camping, they tell stories around a campfire, including one about a pie-eating contest that results in a hilarious puke fest known as the Great Barfarama. Far from the traditional Stephen King monster horror story, this film deals more with the scary nature of being a kid, breaking free of the constraints of both your home and family history, and ultimately growing into the person you want to be, not the person people expect you to be. By the climax of the movie, the kids have dealt with so much on their journey that the hoods who get their way no longer seem as much of a threat. With a great cast, a nostalgic look back at the 50s and 60s, and a trip that becomes less about seeing a dead person and more about growing up, this movie is still great almost 30 years after its release. Number 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. What if instead of dealing with a heartbreaking loss, you could forget it entirely? This is the premise of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Joel, played by Jim Carrey, determines to have Clementine, played by Kate Winslet, erased from his memory after she has the same procedure done to erase him. During the procedure, Joel relives his memories of Clementine, no matter how mundane or unconnected, and watches as they're erased, to the point that he ends up with no recollection of Huckleberry Hound, a cartoon character who is famous for singing My Darling Clementine. As the process continues, Joel begins to regret his decision and starts fighting against the erasure with the help of the mental version of Clementine. Jumping through unrelated memories with Clem in tow, Joel rediscovers why he fell for Clementine in the first place. The film itself seeks to provide an answer to the age-old adage, it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. Is it really better to have experienced life with someone, regardless of the final outcome, or to have never known life with them at all? Visually, the memory erasing process is fun to watch, as bits and pieces of the environment disappear one at a time, and attempts to run away loop back on themselves because that's the end of the memory. And Joel moves seamlessly from one location to another as the memory erasing tool does its work. Number 1, The City of Lost Children. I know, you're probably saying, wait, what the hell? Yes, The City of Lost Children is my favorite dramatic film. La Cité des Enfants Perdus, the original French title, is a quirky tale of a demented scientist, Krank, and his inability to dream. Because he can't dream, he's aging faster than normal, and has resorted to kidnapping children from the nearby seaside town. The only problem is that by the time the children arrive, they're so scared They're only able to have nightmares, which are of no use to Kronk. When his adopted little brother Donnie is taken, Une, played by master thespian Ron Perlman, teams up with Miette, a member of a thieves guild made up of orphans, to retrieve him. Featuring characters such as a pair of conjoined twins known as the Octopus, who lead the thieves guild, a circus performer who uses trained fleas and music to control the minds of others, a brain in a tank, and 6 clones who suffer from both narcolepsy and an ongoing argument as to who the original is, The City of Lost Children is a steampunky, fantastical film. From the creative duo behind Delicatessen and Emily, both of which are slick films, and Aliens Resurrection, which most people consider out of canon. As with the other films, Dominique Pignon often steals the show as the 6 bumbling clones. If you know French, can tolerate subtitles, or aren't put off by English dubs, definitely give this film a watch. You'll probably be disappointed, but I don't give a shit. Ron Perlman for life. Yeah, something, I don't know. So there you have it, my top 10 movies that fall mostly into the drama category. What are your favorite drama films? Any of these? None of these? Share them in the comments below, and as always, be sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter @FabCast. Subscribe here on YouTube, and unless shitty movies end up on the endangered species list, we'll see you next time. Bye. Number 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Number 2.
I wanted to say something about Kiefer Sutherland in fucking Stand By Me.
Yes.
Being a dick. Jack Bauer being
Jack
a
Bauer's
dick.
a dick.
He's such a dick.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Number 2. You really did have to.